5:45 in the morning. Out the door at 6:15, all packed and ready to roll. The weather had improved quite significantly from the day before. And we encountered a thigh-deep river 10 minutes into the hike.
Yeah.
Chris wore the GoPro for the river crossing.
Greg and I got really pissed at each other. So I'm standing there in my underwear with no pants on, like trying to get ready to cross the river. And Greg's pussyfooting around, putting his little boots back on and everything.
We were all pantsless.
Yeah, but you were. I was like, Greg, I'm crossing the river. It was fine. You'll see it on video. It was great.
So we just crossed the river so dramatically. And we're out into this big, lush, mossy, volcanic valley in the sunshine, which was a big change from the day before. And we hoofed it through this valley, very, very flat and expansive.
And there was kind of a canyon or a gorge that ran between the middle of the valley. We walked across this kind of two-track road for a while and then back onto a single hiking trail, and then we crossed this gorge that kind of split the valley in half. And after that we
crossed a couple rivers,
and then we stopped and we took a picture by Brandon's Ho Chi Minh sign, or the Mordor sign from his TV show that he likes.
It was Westeros as well.
It's called Lord of the Rings.
And,
Lord of the Rings show.
Game of Thrones.
He's big into these video games.
That's not a video game.
And playing cards.
It's not a card game.
So we're walking across volcanic, like sand fields, and rivers, and all the mountains around us are mountainous, and they're moss covered. It looks like New Zealand, except it's Iceland, which is awesome. And we end up in the third camp, which is called
Emster is the region. Borgner is the name of the hut.
So we pay there, and the lady tells us to head back up the hill where we had cometh. And
she just said go up to the crossing and take a left. That's all she said.
So we went up to the crossing and we took a left, and we had one of the most scenic hours, I think, of our entire journey.
Until the end.
Until the end, when we realized that the trail ended at a cliff and there was no additional route that we could travel, and we realized that we were on one of the excursion hikes from the Botner hut.
It was a side hike.
It was a side hike around the canyon and the waterfalls.
So yeah, Greg led us in the wrong direction for an hour. So what are you trying to say?
I'm making a movie, so therefore I need cinematic shots, which I got right here.
Good transition.
Thank you. So we made it back through the trail, and perfectly enough, the trail we were supposed to be taking was right on the other side of the hut master's cabin, perfectly marked. So we jumped onto that. We walked through some kind of meadows, and we ended up at a rock descent where Chris and Brandon both got to look cool and hang off the rocks via the rope.
Indiana Jones.
Did you
feel
feel
a large cliff that we had to scale down?
Did you feel cool?
Yeah, it put shame to the Alps. It was a major decline on this rope.
You had a beard and you were on a rope.
Yeah,
I felt like a firefighter. I didn't mention that.
We both belayed down and safely made it to the bottom. Thankfully, it was about a 500-foot cliff that we came down.
And then we crossed a full-on glacial river that was rushing at breakneck speed, very, very silty.
Yeah. So there was one rope that went across the river that we used to balance ourselves on.
Or it was a bridge that we caught on film.
It was your choice. It was whatever you wanted to do.
Yeah,
I used the rope.
Chris went by the rope. Brandon went by the bridge.
Yep.
It was awesome. So we did that, and then we had a kind of a light little climb.
Yeah.
A couple hundred feet back up to the plateau.
Yep.
And we kept on walking through the plateau. It was kind of deserty again, kind of volcanic sand, and a couple light descents, light ascents through kind of the streams and feeders that went into that river. And then we climbed back up to the plateau. And then it was from there slight descent into the desert
For like 5 miles.
for like a good 5 miles. Brandon kind of held pace, and we came to another decent sized river which we crossed via bridge, and then right on the other side of that was one of the most backbreaking climbs I think we had on the entire journey.
It was zigzag all the way.
It
up.
was horrible. It was not the right time of the hike to be getting that kind of a punishment. We started our descent down to the river. This is our last river, I think. Last river of the whole thing. We had to get down to our skivvies again, and thigh deep, really fast rushing river. Salty again, very salty.
Very silty, but tasted pretty well.
Yeah, we drank out of it. We were out of water at this point.
Greg tried to cross the river with this by hopping and keeping his boots on until he got to the last bit where he realized it was knee deep.
And then I made the smart decision.
To undress.
I took my boots off. So we all made it across the river safe and sound.
And then turned into a forest.
And then we went into a forest, which we didn't know they really had in Iceland. So there was a lot of trees, and you couldn't really see much. And we finally hit the signs for, what was the camp called? Húsledur. And so we kept on marching, and finally we rounded a corner, and there she was.
It was a bar.
In all her glory. And it was a bar and restaurant. We had a couple congratulatory beers, and we were done. We'd done 25 miles in one day of absolute backbreaking hiking, and we survived. Broken but not dead.
Not dead.
I think is a good way to put it.
And we got on that bus that had suspension that raised it up. And it took us across this huge river and drove us home.
Any other stuff you'd like to contribute from your 3 days on the mountain?
Long story short, we hiked in Iceland for 55 kilometers for 3 miserable days.
And now we're gonna watch Show Our Boys.